Ladies and gentlemen, with that sweet celebration here at AiM, we move on to our last but a very, very important session on net zero future, the ESG strategic challenges in the hotel industry. This is not just a discussion, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a compass for the industry's path forward, navigating the intersection of responsibility and innovation. Please join me in welcoming our moderator for this session, Mr. Kunal Chowdhury, Director at Udayan Chowdhury and Associates, a second-generation consultant engineer and director at Udayan Chowdhury and Associates. His expertise spans delivering prestigious projects globally, engaging as a guest lecturer, and also contributing to various industry platforms. Very, very glad to have Mr. Chowdhury with us as our moderator. Also, please join me in welcoming our first panelist, Mr. Manoj Bansali, the Managing Director at AirTech Industries. He's an engineering graduate with over 27 years in HVAC and 10 years in MEP services. We're very glad to have him be a part of this session. We'd also like to welcome our second panelist, Mr. Praveen Agrawal, onto the stage, General Manager, Engineering, Lemon Tree Hotels. He has 25 years of experience in renowned hospitality brands such as the Oberoi, Grand Hyatt, Starwood, IHG, and Lemon Hotels, to name a few, specializing in pre-opening projects, property assessment, and day-to-day operations. We are very glad that Mr. Agrawal could join us in this session. Ladies and gentlemen, would like to invite our next panelist, Mr. Sunil Khemani, onto the stage, Director of Alfat International Engineering Studio, with over 200 projects under his belt, including hotels, hospitals, retail, residential, commercial, and industrial projects. He brings in a wealth of experience, and we're very, very glad that Mr. Sunil could be a part of this very, very important discussion. And ladies and gentlemen, last but definitely not the least, we'd like to invite the birthday boy onto the stage, Mr. Suraj Sahai, to kindly join us, Regional Manager, Architect, Design and Construction at Wyndham Hotels and Resorts. We're very glad to have an expert in optimizing hotel business metrics through design and engineering, and he also ensures that projects stay at the forefront of construction and design practices. Ladies and gentlemen, very glad to have this fantastic panel discussing on a very important topic, net zero future. This entire conversation has been around hospitality and its responsibility towards the communities that they have decided to serve. Requesting for a group photograph before we start the session, ladies and gentlemen, but we definitely hope you'll also engage in this panel. You'll also have your questions for this important topic, ESG strategic challenges in the hotel industry. The stage is all set, ladies and gentlemen, and without any further delay, may I please request our moderator to kindly start the session.
Thank you, and good evening, everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the last session of AiM 2024. I have a very important job today. I have to make sure that the birthday boy catches his flight, so I'm not going to take a lot of time. This is a very intriguing topic that we're going to be talking about today, and we've got the best panel available on stage to discuss this topic. The topic that we're going to talk about is a net zero future. And how do we achieve a net zero future is through the ESG, environmental, social, and governance principles that organizations, governments around the world are working towards. And the main thing when it comes to a net zero, just to set context on net zero, what it basically means is the greenhouse gas emissions that, post the industrial era that have been going out into the atmosphere, we have to drive it to zero. Zero, as we know, is the most important contribution that our famous mathematician Aryabhatta gave to the world back home from India. Zero today is the most important number for all of us. Without a net zero future, we may not have a future as a species. Uh, it's interesting because our scientists and space geeks are looking, at the heavens and looking for a different planet which could be livable with the same conditions that we have on Earth. And this is something that everybody is looking at. I wish in my lifetime I can fly off to a planet which is livable as well. But the hypocrisy in this is that we have already got a planet which is livable, which generations before and several other species, plants, animals, they also, are part of this planet, and we can't leave it to die. So the doomsday clock is ticking. I don't want to sound alarmist, but we are nearing midnight, and I think it's the responsibility that all of us have, and to look beyond, a sustainability aspect only. I think we have to drive towards net zero, and it has to begin now. So with that, I'll hand over to Khemani Saab to further set the context on ESG and on net zero, please.
Thank you, Kunal. I think you very well said zero is the key word today. First of all, thank you for having us here, Mr. Kaul. Secondly, I would like this session to be moved forward next year so that, we get probably a better limelight than this, which I had requested even last time. And also, if possible, move it in October so that I can have a chance to cut a cake. And if, for those of you who missed it, it's 30th October. Okay. And so Vikram Singh, what he spoke, has actually stolen most of my thoughts, what I had planned to speak today. But nevertheless, I will try and elaborate on what Kunal just asked me to. So last 20 years have seen the maximum average temperature. In the last 22 years, the last 20 years have been the maximum average temperature, and the temperatures have risen 1.7 degrees centigrade, and compared to the pre-industrial era. And if we continue like this, in next 75 years, we would be increasing the Earth's temperature, average temperature, by 2.7. So it's very important on what we are doing, and we all know what the adverse effects of carbon footprinting will do to the Earth, to this planet. And global warming, everyone knows about it, the flooding, freak weather conditions, rising sea levels, melting glaciers, all that. So it's important that we talk about carbon footprint. Now, we keep talking about net zero, carbon footprint, green building. So I like to just clear the concept. Let's say I'm talking about a platinum-rated 100-room hotel in Delhi and platinum-rated 100-room hotel in Kathmandu. Both of them have energy usage index of 120 kilowatt hour per square meter per year. Now 120 kilowatt hour, coming back to what Vikram had said, in India, 70% of my power comes from thermal power stations. So each kilowatt in a thermal power station adds up to about 0.27 kgs of CO2 in the atmosphere, as compared to hydro, which produces 0.015, which is like less than 1/10. So just imagine the amount of carbon footprinting that we are adding to by talking about or having platinum rated building in both the cases. So it's very important that we talk about carbon footprints more than the green building. So having said that, carbon net zero building is actually, when we start designing a building, we have to ensure that we make a building which leaves less of carbon footprint, and whatever residual carbon footprint it leaves, we need to offset that by buying carbon credits. So effectively, that is what net zero means today.
Praveenji, I understand that already Lemon Tree has made their ESG goals public. If I'm understanding it correctly, could you tell the audience about it a little bit?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Cole, for giving this opportunity. So, as a lemon tree, we have just first ESG report. We have just given the public disclosure. And ESG, the E stand for the environment, S for the social, and the G for the governance. So, E is like the electricity or the carbon footprint of the entire building, the way Mr. Khemani explained. Social means all your HR policies and all. The governance, like the anti-corruption policies, code of conducts, material. So this is all very like the detailed report. And ESG report is like that report, whatever the figure you are just publishing, that has to be validated by the big auditor like the KPMG or the Deloitte. They are just checking each and every details and getting validated for just before making the public disclosure. So it is not easy report, okay. And every building has a carbon footprint, and we need to just balance it out. That is the net zero, okay. So in 2021, Lemon Tree has floated the ESG report. Now the company, which are the publicly limited company, so as per the SEBI's guideline or the mandate, the ESG reported is now called as the integrated reporting, which is much more advanced, integrated reporting. And there's another report which is called the BRSR, which is the business responsible and the sustainability report. So as per the SEBI's guideline, first you have to just give it the BSR and then the integrated reporting. Integrated reporting is so many content, like the entire the carbon footprint, which is the electricity, your fossil fuel, every charcoal used for your tandoors and other things. So complete which is we call in our language is HLP, complete heat, light and power details. And before, like I told you earlier also, each and every data has to be validated. Like if we have bought, suppose 1,000 liter of HSD, so on validation, the auditors are just getting checked when you have received. This is a cross check basically. So that is how we are doing it, sir.
I think that's a very important point. I think to be able to go to net zero, we should be able to measure it. So we have to have a metric, and the entire ESG framework that's getting developed as we speak. It's not an absolute science today. The way it's getting framed across the world, we would be able to get a metric which tells us how close we are to net zero. Just to give you another context, the Paris Climate Accords, which were signed in 2016 by 196 countries, which the US stepped out of and came back in, India has been backing 100%, And 2030 was the deadline which was set to drop emissions by 50%. Unfortunately, in 2024, in February, we are nowhere near that. So we have to really pull up our socks. With that, I would like to bring the birthday boy, Suraj, on. Happy birthday, Suraj. And let's have your thoughts on this.
First of all, I couldn't have asked for a better birthday than this. I was expecting to be a quiet day with family, but this is something my industry seniors, leadership, my peers, and the business partners, I'm celebrating my birthday. Thank you, Kunal. Thank you, Anil sir. Thank you, Rameshji, for all this. So, sustainability, it has been established as it's not an option. So, for Wyndham Hotels and Resorts, sustainability is something, it is at the core of everything what we do. It is, and we are committed that our strategies are aligned with those of our guests, and with those who we do business with. ESG for us is based on 4 themes, which are at the larger picture are the centerpiece of the larger strategies, and those ESG themes are uh, culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion, supporting our communities, uh, leadership in sustainability, and protecting human rights. So on all this, like Nikhil has already in the previous session has mentioned about how we are supporting with People's Job Network and sponsoring two children from Crystal House to ISH programs. So that is all taken care. But I will touch subject on the leadership in sustainability. So at Wyndham Hotels and Resorts, we have a program. Like there are 5 levels of Wyndham Green levels. So just to give the picture with the larger audience and the technical people here, so we are all aware of USGBC lead rating, star rating, gold, platinum, silver, so all those. So we have levels 1 to 5. And as part of, I will start with, we have been talking about changes and everything. I will go back with what Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see. So in the change, what we are committed to do is our level 1 is compulsory for all our hotels. And as of 2024, we have achieved 100% all our EMEA, Europe, Middle East, Eurasia, Africa hotels managed properties. They are 100% level 1. And in India also, we are going with level 5. Our Ramada Plaza Lucknow is Wyndham Green level 5. That's a platinum rating. So it is about, we are developing hotels with our owners who are also committed, the guests who want that sustainability measures in our hotels. So those are there. And be the change which if we want to be, we want to see. So on that subject, our 2024 target is our US corporate office, that is the biggest one, will be 100% on renewable energy. So likewise, we have various level of commitments which we are implementing, and we are on goal or we are on track for that, and we are implementing that.
Fantastic. That's great to know. Just quick question before I go to Manoj ji for you, Suraj. I use a cab service in Delhi and Bangalore called Blue, right? So every time I take that cab service, the cars are spick and span, but I feel good at the end of the journey because I get a message saying that so many kilos of CO2 was saved as a result of using that service. Is there something in the offing with Wyndham? If I were to stay in a, in a Wyndham project, and anywhere in the world for that matter, do I get a good feeling after that? Or
yes, you do that. So like LED lighting, energy saving fixtures, water conservation fixtures, reducing waste. So those we are implementing. I'll just go back to the very simple, tangible. We all use hotel key cards. So now we are implementing mobile check-in and using mobile key cards as one key solution. And we will implement what Bansali ji will always implement on the GRMS, guest room management system. So it all combines, and we look at, not in coming times to come, we'll take out key cards from the system. So that's one more plastic which is gone. That is another tangible thing which we are taking out. So that is something which we are implementing as part of technology. And another energy features, energy saving measures, we are working with you, likes of you, Sunil sir, and other MEP consultants to guide us to make us aware, and our business partners like air conditioner systems and everything. They are already teaching us, bringing new technologies to us, and we are happy to adopt them. So that is something we call it business partnership. Fantastic. So that is something which we'll work with.
Fantastic. So I save a few kgs of CO2 for sure next time I stay at your hotel, or SIRS for that matter. Manoj, your thoughts on ESG, especially being a contractor, because the responsibility in terms of social and governance, even at a company level for you, in AirTech. What are your thoughts on that?
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure for me to join this gathering along with our mentors. Basically, as a contractor, we religiously follow the design which is given by people like Kunal, Khemani sir, and other leading consultants. We do check in and we do do a review on the specifications which they have specified to ensure that we comply with the requirements of the brand as well as the consultant design, where we ensure that the materials which we use are in compliance with the requirement of the brand as well as the consultant. So that ensures that we use the right material in terms of the sustainability. We try to use local materials, which helps to reduce carbon prints. Luckily, from the Nepal point of view, we try to use the most efficient equipments possible. This is why we are having partnership with Mitsubishi. They do produce some really world-class efficient equipments. Besides that, anything which has been spoken by the consultants, we try to follow it. And within AirTech, we ensure that we do use the vehicles which are environment friendly. We use the best LED lights so that we don't overdo any electric consumptions there. We look for energy efficient equipments. So all in all, we are lucky that from Nepal's point of view that our energy is hydro energy, which is much better than what is available in our neighboring countries like India. So luckily, that also helps us that we are using hydroelectricity compared to a thermal energy or fossil fuels. So that is also, I would say, a certain help which Nepal is providing. We are in a beautiful country with a lot of Himalayas, mountains. So we are very concerned on the environment impact which may occur if we don't awake right now. And we are really with our team to ensure that as a contractor, we deliver what is required, what is designed by them. Thank you.
Well, beautiful country, beautiful people, and beautiful EVs. I'm seeing only EVs in Nepal since I've been here. Any new car that I see is an EV. Any special reasons for that?
Yeah, it's basically, as I said, Nepal is producing electricity. So, and we are importing fossil fuels. So it's always better that we use our own resources, which eventually is also environmental friendly. So that is one good reason. And secondly, as the birthday boy signified, that we are using GRMS, that is like guest room management system in Hilton Hotel. So that is another one step further that we are reducing the use of plastics, which normally most of the hotels are still using the key card as a plastic card. So I'm sure whatever little contribution which is specified to us, we are more than committed to do that.
Fantastic. That sounds good. So,
I want
yes,
to add
please.
one thing. Since you talk about the EV, so 1 kilometer, if you are running through HSD car, which is producing 16 kgs of carbon dioxide footprint. So
yeah, wow. So we are,
that's for the larger audience.
and especially with hydropower, I think it's extremely
Extremely.
sustainable.
Yeah.
So, okay, for next stage of this, this panel discussion, what I want to do is there are a lot of clients, I see potential clients for both Khemani Saab and us for sure. So what we want to do is we want to just quickly do a round where we try and talk about a new building, a new hotel, could be in India, could be anywhere in the world, and what our thoughts are on how to put together a net zero building, hotel building today. Okay, so starting with, let's say, Suraj.
So energy conservation, like I said, is not an option. It's something which has to build in our core values. So starting for a hotel building, the planning, design, the orientation, the use of systems. So from the passive side to the active side, everything has to be in place. Everything has to be thought of. So from the brand perspective, like in the previous session, it was mentioned that at the onset of the conversation, sustainability was not there. So this year onwards, we as technical services, my peers from other brands will understand. At the kickoff stage, we are now implementing a Wyndham Green acknowledgement by the owners so that they are committed for all the green fields. Level 3 is mandatory, and for the brownfield, level 1 is mandatory. So this is not an option anymore. It's part of our core values, and we are building it in our systems. And use of technologies from our business partners and from our suppliers, procurements, and we already do business with. We aim to do business with all those suppliers and business partners who also have sustainability at the core of at their core value. So it is a holistic approach, it's a partnership, and everybody has to come together to put that. And we as Wyndham Hotels and Resorts are committed with our various programs. We are also part of Sustainability Hotel Alliance. That is we are one of the 27 leading hotel industries where members are committed that the hotels in various destinations give it back to the community, not much take it from the community.
Yeah, just to build on that, I think the alliance that you spoke of talks about not only net zero energy, it talks about net zero water, net zero
Yes.
waste.
Yes.
So we are eventually looking at a word which is thrown around a lot in our parlays called decarbonization. So we are actually not only reducing the carbon, but if there's, when we as a world reach net zero, we are trying to, there still would be some emissions left because we are just reducing, that there's a lot of emission out there already, but our oceans and our forests should be able to absorb it. So I appreciate that you guys are part of that alliance and
Yeah,
let's see if we can get
just
that.
as we consider as a big brother of the hotel industry with globally 9,000 plus hotels, we are doing it one by one, and that will really make an impact. That's what we believe, and we'll do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Kimani Sahab, your thoughts on building a new net zero hotel today?
Yeah, so building is a very small element in the whole universe. If I talk about it globally, we are talking about scope 1 emissions, scope 2 emissions. So when we talk about building, I can easily reduce, as what Suraj said about energy efficiency, etc. I can reduce the carbon footprint of scope 1. But scope 2, let's say, I'll give you an example. So we did a hotel, about 550 room, about 10 years ago. And the kitchen and laundry load itself is about 160 kilowatt for a 550 room. We're doing another luxury hotel, 130 room, and today the electrical load is to about 1250 kilowatt. Okay, so just imagine the difference. So we have moved away from gas and we have come to electricity. So scope 1 emissions have gone zero, but scope 2 and 3 have gone very high because I'm eventually consuming more electricity, and electricity is produced from thermal. And thermal is again adding far more carbon dioxide than anywhere else. So I need to first control, the government has to support us. Let's say, if I produce green power in Rajasthan and I want to bring it to Delhi, there are some wheeling charges which the state electricity boards charge, which I think should be looked into by the concerned agencies very, very seriously. Because otherwise, whatever we do in a building, unless it is not addressed globally, we are not going to achieve anything much. That's personally my thought to it.
Fantastic. I think that's a great thought, and it's food for thought for all of us here who are connected with the departments. And if somebody can take it back to the government back home in India, that'll be great. Now on to building this, hotel, so as to speak. Let's get a contractor's perspective from you, and let's say we were building a net zero hotel in Nepal, which is a new concept globally. So what do you think you'd need to do, or would you need to scale up certain things, Manojji, to build one today?
Yeah, that's a difficult question to answer because the specs should be able to specify the products which are eco-friendly. The first thing goes with the building materials, because if we want to go for a net zero building, the materials should be specified properly, and more indigenous materials should be used, so that the travel time and the carbon footprint in transportation of the goods made in Italy or US, if it comes to Nepal, that can be saved if I use a material or a brick made in Bhaktapur, which is in close proximity with the Nepal. So the product which are easily available, products which are biodegradable, those are the things which should be specified by the architects. Besides they normally looks for the aesthetic looks, but recently, the last few years, I've been, working in close proximity with good interior designers and architects, and they're very careful in giving the design where they use high efficient equipments as well as good building materials. So for a contractor, for us to execute, we also need to gear up with some kind of wastage of materials. We have to reduce that as far as possible. We have to do things right in the first place, so there's no rework. Like, we do conduiting in hotels, which is a PVC material, and of course, we don't have much choice because it's FRLS and all that. So those materials should also be reduced wherever possible. We have to figure out something which is fire retardant as well as that can be used to get the best benefit of green buildings. So I think more things has to be done from the designers as well. So I should not be the only one doing it, but I will follow what you do, what you design. So it's everyone's effort together.
Basically, fire survival cables everywhere, and no conduits, right? I think if
Correct,
there are some
correct.
cable manufacturers here, they'd be very happy to hear that. So, Praveenji, on to you. Let's say this, make-believe hotel that we're trying to build on this panel is ready now. So, from an operations perspective, how do you ensure that it stays a net zero building, and what would be the ESG strategies to ensure that it stays a net zero building over a period of time, over its life cycle?
So any building in the hotel industry, okay. So if you see the carbon footprint, so 76% which is from the electricity. So currently we are using the conventional source of electricity. We can only offset through the renewable energy. So one unit is consuming approximately 850 grams of coal, whereas if you are getting the renewable energy, that is zero. So easily offsetted by the zero only. But we are not getting through the discoms. In India, every discom has their own policy. Delhi has something different. Karnataka has something different. Okay, like the Ministry of Power has given mandate that the minimum capping of 1 megawatt is reduced to 100 megawatt. So far, only Karnataka has implemented, and we are not getting, because in our small hotels, our contract demand is not that much. In some hotel it is 500, some it is 300, some it is 400. Okay, so we are not getting. So unless until if the government doesn't support, then it is very difficult to get the net zero, the target. And if I talk about the Delhi policies are very good, but there's no land bank in the Delhi. So what to do is a big question. So probably in the incoming time, probably some clarity will come from the government side. But nowadays it is very difficult to get the net zero.
Sure. Kimai sir?
Yeah, so I think today's target for hospitality industry should be scope 1 emissions have to become net zero as far as hotels are concerned. Okay, when I talk about building. So that's where we should go. We shouldn't bother about scope 2 and 3 because that's not in our hands, and that's going to be controlled by the government, yes.
Fantastic. I have a question for anybody who'd like to, take it on this panel, and maybe mainly for Suraj and Praveenji. So I travel with friends who are working in corporates, and they have this corporate card, right? So they get discounts across the world and across brands, right? And all these multinationals and corporates have net zero targets, they have science-based targets, etc. And they have been made public. So most of them, in my understanding, are going to try and go to net zero carbon by 2040 max, right? So in a way, I think documenting where all these people who are traveling, taking flights, staying at hotels throughout the world, whether for business or for pleasure, I think that would be a metric which also will get added, So what are your thoughts on that? I mean, would it pay hotels now to be net zero in a way?
So I will take a different approach onto it, not direct tangible pay, but when we choose our corporate clients, so like we said, we are 100% committed to aligning what our guest wants, and who do we do business with. So in that sense, when we select suppliers and vendors for our hotels on procurement and everything, who also have the same goal aligned to us. So likewise, when our guests want to travel to us, they will see certain touch points, removal of single-use plastics. So we do not have a 2040 target, we have a 2030 target with a 2025 target and 2027. So we have a very strong short-term and a long-term vision, because we are on mission and we are doing that. It's part of our business metrics. It's not something we regionally are doing it. It is coming from our top down, from our top chairman to our MD, our CMD, and regional president, and to the MD of this region. It has come down to that level. So we are doing it every level, with our guests, with our suppliers, with our partners, and internally, like I said, be the change you want to see. So that is something which we are already doing it.
Be the change. Anybody else wants to take that question?
Yeah, I can just talk about a bit on the gentleman who said about the GRMS system. So these days we don't have occupancy sensors. We have IR sensors. We put 3 sensors minimum in a room. One is in the toilet, one is in the vestibule, one is in the room. So whichever part of the room you are in, the lights will not turn on and turn off. That could have been a malfunction somewhere. And also, if you have twin occupancy, if one person walks out, the lights will not go off because the other person may be in the washroom. So that sensor would still sense it. So it's a foolproof system. We should all adopt it. Yes.
Yeah. Raveen sir, any thoughts?
Most of the MNC business are like coming. They are just checking. They have a checklist completely, and they are just checking if the building is compliant, ESG compliant. So they are like, they are giving business to, like, they're giving.
So if you're
preference to us.
compliant, you get more business.
Yes.
Oh, great.
So the way Mr. Khemani said, single-use plastic, part of renewable energy, how much you are consuming, what is your carbon footprint. So
Super.
like, they are giving preference to us.
Preferences there.
Yes.
Excellent.
100%. Yes.
Also, Kunal, incidentally, India is third largest CO2 emitter in the world after US and China in that order. However, we always forget, so we emitted something close to 4 billion tons of CO2 last year. Having said that, we all forget that, if you you divide that per capita, we are one of the lowest. And that's what the Indian government is actually fighting in international forums, that the targets have to be revised because, we are very densely populated.
It has to
country.
be a per capita.
It has to be per capita.
Yeah,
Yes.
I agree. Absolutely. So final thoughts, and we want to have some time for questions also. I think it's a very interesting topic, so I'm sure a lot of us have questions in the audience. So final thoughts, a couple of minutes each, starting in reverse order, maybe starting with Manojji.
I think it is very interesting to learn more and more about the eco-friendliness, which is the need of the hour. And from the Nepal perspective also, we need to build more sustainable buildings here. And that will be, the gift which we will give to our children, their children. So from the perspective of a contractor, I would really, be part with the design team who can help us, who can guide us, who can spec in the specifications, which will ensure that we have a lovely planet to live in. From my side, I think that's it, Kunal. Thank you.
Thank you. Suraj?
So just keeping it very short, it has to be built as part of our core values and be as a partnership. So contractor, I know he uses the word contractor. I would use the word as business partner. So it is it is a concerted effort, not just an operator or a brand or a consultant can do. We all have to come together and make it as a part of our core value.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Sir?
In my opinion, I think like net zero through the government policies and all, what is in our hand is we have to reduce the power consumption. Okay, that is in our hand by using the innovative technology. Like nowadays the EC fans are in the market. There's so many things in the market. So we can reduce our own. That is the prime importance, and we can easily achieve the target.
Reduce, reuse, and recycle.
Correct.
The first principles. Sir?
So I would say that development is very important for any country. I mean, if I don't have development, I have land, I don't produce any carbon footprint, but development is essential. So we need to look at sustainable development, and that's the way forward. And I see this lady already on the stage, which means that we need to go now.
It's time for a drink.
Time for a drink.
Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. It's a habit to be on stage a minute before time. But ladies and gentlemen, a big, big round of applause for this fantastic panel that tackled a very, very important topic, which is net zero future. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for doing the honors and sharing your insightful thoughts and experiences on how can we move forward and achieve this. I'd like to invite Mr. Ramesh Kaul to kindly join us onto the stage to present our fabulous panel and our moderator with a token of appreciation, the beautiful handicraft from Nepal, which is in Nepali called Aki Dyal. Big, big thank you to all our panelists for discussing on net zero future, the environmental, social and governance strategies, challenges that the hotel industry face. How can we overcome this moving forward for a net zero future? A group picture ends this last session, the 8th session here at AiM Conference and Exposition 2024.